Lately, I've seen an influx of women online complaining about being single, talking about how they can't find a boyfriend, can't find a man as they get older. They're questioning if they'll ever find one, years of them being single, and just overall kind of complaining about not being able to find a man. And in this video I want to play, you may have seen it already, but it's a woman who actually took out a billboard to try to find a man, and it's hilarious.
This is what taking your chances at finding love to new heights looks like.
I'm looking for a husband, I'm looking for a committed relationship, and hopefully the love of my life.
For almost a month now, Bay Area resident and bachelorette Lisa Catalone decided to put herself out there. And when we say out there, we mean on 6 to 7 billboards on Highway 101 from the South Bay to San Francisco. This is pretty bold. What happened that you said, this is the approach that I'm going to take?
Every time I got a little frustrated with the dating scene within Silicon Valley and the Bay Area, I would work a little bit on my website. And it started off kind of as almost a joke, like I'm just going to make my own website. Then it just I was thinking, maybe that's not that crazy of an idea.
And I'm going to go to her website after this video so we can see what her standards are, learn a little bit about Lisa and why it is that she is 41 years old and single.
After all, and so I decided, okay, well, I got to promote the website somehow, and what's more local than a billboard?
All hoping the one or someone who may know him leads him to her. Her ads are straight to the point. MaryLisa.com. Her website is her personal application collection service. This is where her future husband can apply.
I'm looking for somebody who would be compatible with me on things like religious views, politics, healthy lifestyle, because I lead a healthy lifestyle, things that match up on all of that, and someone who's ready to get married and have kids in the future.
One thing about Lisa, she's
41. How do you plan on having kids exactly?
Not taking any chances and simply relying on billboards. She's also keeping an eye out when she's out and about.
Have flyers, business cards, just in case I'm somewhere in person and I want to network.
So if you see someone that you like, you're like, hey.
Oh, I could definitely do that, yeah.
She said her search recently went viral when she posted it on TikTok, leading to an influx of applicants. How many applications have you gotten?
Oh gosh, I don't know, because my phone's been going off.
Lisa says she's hopeful all this will be worth it when she meets the one. And just in case, we wanted to help. If your future husband is watching right now, what do you want to say to him?
I'm real. This entire project is real. I am serious about finding the love of my life.
For now, the search continues.
So here we are on MaryLisa.com. Scroll through here. So first off, I want to see, how old is Lisa? Fast facts. All right. So she's 41. Okay, 41 years old, 5'5", 130 pounds. Let's see. Currently self-employed. So we got a boss babe on our hands here. Democrat, liberal. Shocker. I'm so shocked. Non-practicing Catholic, not religious. Okay, so you're not a Catholic. Enjoys wine and an occasional cocktail. No tobacco, no marijuana, no drugs. Great sense of humor. Loves going out and doing things. San Francisco Giants fan. Convertible owner. Loves cats. Artistic and creative. Has not had any cosmetic procedures. High energy, healthy, active lifestyle. Never married, no kids. However, wants marriage and kids within the next 2 to 3 years with the right man. Okay. Let's see who Lisa is looking for. So what does Lisa think is the right man for her? Okay, so it looks like we've got a literal list of things that she wants. Who is Lisa looking for? So real quick, first off, what we have to realize is, so Lisa's 41. She's been having a very hard time finding a man, clearly. So what we're going to see on this website is not necessarily what her standards were, 5 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago. What we're looking at now are things she will not budge on. Things that she has basically boiled down to what it is she is willing to kind of compromise on. So let's read some of this stuff. Lisa's non-negotiable items are qualities which align with her core values and she believes are essential for compatibility in a relationship. Please read these carefully before submitting an application. So yeah, they're non-negotiables. So think about it. This is the bare minimum for her. Okay, this is the things she will not budge on. She absolutely has to have. She's sat down. She's decided. She's put away all the ridiculous standards, and this is what are her non-negotiables. So family must be on board with a monogamous relationship and dating with the intent for marriage. Must be all right with a time frame of marriage and starting a family within the next 2 to 3 years. So here again, my question. Lisa's 41. Now, and she's clearly got a time frame. She wants to get this done in the next 2 to 3 years. No more waiting. The games are over for Lisa. My question is, what were you doing in your 20s? What were you doing in your 30s? So now you're 41 and you want to just run through all the bullshit, 2 to 3 years, married and children. I find that very funny. You've literally procrastinated to the last minute. I mean, you're in your 40s trying to get pregnant. You're really pushing it. And you would think, right, being pregnant at 40 versus being pregnant in your 20s, it's going to be a lot more tiring, more difficult, more taxing on your body. Risk increases a lot, I believe. Obviously, chances of actually conceiving go down. Fertility rates, or your fertility isn't as quality as it was in your 20s, even your 30s. But let's keep going here, shall we? Education. College educated. Okay, bachelor's degree at a minimum. Okay. Lifestyle. Generally healthy lifestyle is a must. No marijuana, tobacco, psychedelics, drug use, good hygiene. Politics. Must be Democratic or liberal or left-leaning politically. Okay. Religion, looking for someone who's not particularly religious, okay with spiritual or non-religious, no criminal record, non-violent personality, age 35 to 45. Preference is for never married, no kids, and so this has some flexibility. And generally speaking, Lisa is attracted to more clean-cut looking men, slim to medium build, no or minimal tattoos / piercings. She has no height requirement. Okay. So, we're reading this. Nothing too crazy. No height requirement. Yeah, I don't think I believe you. But hey, she is 41. So, yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy here. Bachelor's degree at a minimum and must be Democratic or liberal, left-leaning politically. So I believe the paradox of choice is really at play here with a lot of these women. When they're in their prime, in their 20s, and even into their 30s, they've got a lot of men throwing themselves at them, and they're screening through them saying, no, you're not good enough, you're not enough. And then they start approaching their 40s, like this woman, and they kind of start panicking and taking things to the extreme, taking desperate measures. And like I had mentioned, these are Lisa's non-negotiables. These are the things she's boiled down to, the things she absolutely will not compromise on. But keep in mind, this is her settling. Now, when it comes to the whole pregnancy thing and starting a family, doctors, by the way, they now consider pregnancies after 35 advanced maternal age instead of calling them geriatric pregnancies. It's the newer and more preferred term, more politically correct term. So at 40, even if you're healthy, you only have about a 5% chance of getting pregnant in any given month. On top of that, the risk of miscarriage jumps to around 40% compared to less than 15% for women in their 20s. And by the time you're over 45, experts say natural pregnancy is unlikely for most women. And yeah, I mean, more women in their 40s are having kids today than in the past. But biology still sets the timeline, and all of these women, we're seeing more and more 40-year-old women have children because, well, they're doing exactly what Lisa did. Lisa is literally pushing it into the last possible years of her life where she could get pregnant. She had all this time to do exactly that. But instead, it seems like she focused on her career, her education, probably had a nice little hoe phase in there. And now she's looking for her knight in shining armor to come along and be her egalitarian partner. And since we're talking about women being single for a long time, not being able to find a man, I saw this clip today on TikTok from a woman who I believe is about 30 years old. And she's talking about how she can't find a man, that she hasn't had a boyfriend for a long time, and now she's questioning whether or not she'll even be able to find one. And here's the thing. There was a study and it found that 63% of men under 30 are single compared to just 34% of women that are the same age. So that means, there's more single men than there are single women. So when these women here run around talking about how they can't find a man, can't find a boyfriend, don't know if they ever will, if they're going to be single for life, it has nothing to do with availability and is entirely about filtering. So let me play this.
The more and more my brain tries to trick me into being okay with the possibility of being single for possibly my entire life. And I know ultimately at the end of the day, I would have to be okay with it because I'm not just going to stop living my life because I don't have a partner. But it's really frustrating because I simultaneously really do strive to get into a loving, healthy, lifelong relationship, hopefully. And I feel like recently I have been trying to tell myself and gaslight myself into thinking that I don't want certain things that I know deep down I really want and that I've wanted since I was a little girl. And like I said, the more and more time that passes that I'm not getting anywhere near being in a long-term relationship, I feel like I'm almost speaking to that inner child version of myself and trying to tell her hey, all of these things that you want, all of these things that you have dreamed of, they're probably not going to happen. So you better start expecting lifelong singleness. And I hate that that's where my mind's going because that's not who I am majority of the time. Majority of the time I do live in this mentality okay, one day I'll meet someone. But I don't know, recently things have been shifting within me and I catch myself thinking certain things and I'm where did that come from? Because I do not recognize these thoughts. And like I said, it's almost as though my mind is trying to prepare me for this possibility of being single forever.
And if you want to see what self-inflicted pain looks like, just look at her. If she really wanted it that bad, she could. She could do a lot of things. Lisa, look at Lisa. Lisa's 41 years old. She's throwing herself all over billboards, making it happen. Lisa said she's got tons of men, filling out these applications. What is the more modern day equivalent of a billboard? Even though billboards still exist, she could go on dating apps. She could make herself available. There are a lot of things that she could do. But what's really going on here is this. The men she wants don't want her, and the men that want her, she doesn't want. And that cycle is going to continue until she hits Lisa's age and has to sit down and think, what are my non-negotiables? Just as Lisa did. She's going to start asking a new man, to put both of them on a 2 to 3 year timeline to get married and have kids. And it's only then, when they get older, start approaching that age, that women start realizing, hey, I'm not going to be able to conceive a child. And because of that, they finally begin to humble themselves.
Which I know, I'm only 30 years old and obviously I can't predict the future, but things are not progressing anywhere and they haven't for a very, very long time. And so it's hard for me to logically understand that anything can happen at any moment. But again, at the same time, I feel like that cynical side of me, that side of me that is fearful, is trying to prepare me and protect me and be hey, you really need to start accepting that things might not go the way that you want. And like I said, I don't want to live this way. I don't want to live with the assumption that I'm never going to find someone because realistically, there are so many people in the world and I have no idea where I'm going to end up. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of this. I so badly want to believe 100% I'll find someone. It doesn't matter when, how, where, but I'm just finding that more recently, I'm more on the side of like, yeah, you're probably never going to find someone. And I hate it. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, is this something that everyone experiences who has been single for a long time? Is this what happens the longer you are single? Because I know regardless at the end of the day, with whichever option ends up happening, I will be okay. Like, you best believe I'm going to still live the most full and exciting life as I can. But I think ultimately my biggest fear is that I will not be able to fulfill that one dream that little Lex has had. And it makes me sad that I might let her down.
Yeah, and this is just Lisa, 10 years ago. The thing is, women have a passive approach to dating and mating. Men have to take an active one. Men have to go out and put themselves out there, get rejected over and over again, compete for attention. Women, for most of their 20s, all they do is just exist, sit back, and the attention comes to them. But the problem with that kind of passive approach is if you're not active, you're passively waiting. You're saying no over and over again, filtering, rejecting, waiting for perfection. And by the time you realize what happened, you're aging out of the market. And some really quality men have come and gone because, you passed up on them in your 20s because they weren't established enough, but now they are, and now they're thriving. But back then, they weren't perfect. They weren't good enough. And now you're older, and you're getting less attention, fewer prospects. And that's how you end up like Lisa at 41 years old, realizing like, oh shit, I've got to take some serious action to make up for the lack of urgency that I had in my 20s and 30s. And you also realize you wasted your prime years to conceive a child. And on top of those choices that you voluntarily made, you've been fed years of propaganda telling you that you don't need kids, you don't need a husband, you don't need a man, you'll be fine on your own, just get some dogs, some cats, and go out and live your ideal life. But that's where I'm going to leave this video. If you haven't already, join my locals. You can click the link in the comment section right now, and I'm running a promotion so you can get a free trial. Just use the code FREEMONTH at checkout, and you'll get access to the exclusive content that I record every Saturday. So I hope to see you in there.